Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the National Timely Action Hour podcast. This is the show where we talk about everything from comic books to video games and everything in between. My name is Aidan, and I hope that you're doing well today. This is Season 5, Episode 1, my top 10 favorite Marvel story arcs. Now, at the time of recording, it is the 4th of January, 2026, and I hope that you all had a happy holiday season and a good start to your new year. The fourth season of my podcast wrapped up in October of 2025, so I just wanted to take a few months off before I continued with the fifth season, and throughout that time I was planning episodes, and I was also filming videos for my YouTube channel, the National Timely Action Hour, on youtube.com. So if you're interested in watching those videos, then please consider subscribing. And if you're new to my podcast and want to listen to more episodes talking about comic books or movies or TV shows or video games or The Lord of the Rings, then please subscribe and share this with your friends. And I post this on Spotify.com as well as on YouTube.com. So in the YouTube version, I'll leave links to my main channel as well as my social media profiles. I have a Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, and Discord. So if you'd like to send me a message or stay up to date on my podcast and my videos, then please click those links and you'll be able to write to me or just get updates on when I'm posting. And I'll also leave a link in the YouTube version of this for my merch store and Patreon page. So if you're interested in supporting this show financially, I would greatly appreciate that. On my merch store, you can buy a t-shirt or a long sleeve shirt or a sweater or a coffee mug with my show's logo on it, and the shirts are as low as 15 Canadian dollars. And on Patreon, I have 3 tiers, the lowest being 3 Canadian dollars per month, or you can make a one-time donation. Either way, I would appreciate that, but if you just subscribe to the show and share it with your friends, that would be a great boon for me. But with that all being said, and me shamelessly begging for your admiration and support, let's get into my top 10 favorite Marvel Comics story arcs, with 10 being one that I really, really enjoy and one being my all-time favorite. So at number 10 we have The Mighty Thor, The Ballad of Beta Ray Bill, which was published in Mighty Thor Volume 1, number 337 to 340 in 1983. This story is awesome. It introduces the close ally of Thor, Beta Ray Bill, who will later be a second Thor, and whenever Thor Odin's son is unavailable, Beta Ray Bill will be the one to answer the call. And I just think it's a very well-written story with beautiful artwork, and that's the case for all of the stories that I'm going to mention, so I'm just going to get that out of the way ASAP. Then moving on, at number 9, we have Doctor Who and the Star Beast, which was published in Marvel Comics Doctor Who number 4 in 1980. Now in 1979, the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, sold the license to Doctor Who in comic book format to Marvel Comics because, the show had been on since 1963, and at that point it was a hit, and it was a mainstay in British culture, and at this point Marvel Comics was branching out to the European market, so they set up an office in London to distribute to print and distribute comic books to Europe. And so they thought, okay, well, we should get a series to actually make in-house in the London office, because New York City is where the main Marvel office is, and still is to this day. But the London office is where they printed the Doctor Who stories and then distributed them to the UK and throughout Europe. and they'd also reprint Spider-Man and all that. But it's a very interesting story how that all got set up. If you'd like me to do a separate episode on that, I can do that. And you can let me know by commenting on this episode on both the Spotify.com version and the YouTube.com version. There's a comment section that you can suggest future episodes. But the Star Beast is the basis for the first of the 3 60th anniversary episodes for Doctor Who, which came out 3 years ago, 2023, and it's crazy that that was 3 years ago, but the story was originally a comic book, and I just think that it's a great comic. And it was drawn by Dave Gibbons, most famous for drawing Watchmen. Then at number 8, we have The Strange Death of Captain America, which was in Captain America Volume 2, number 110 to 113, published in 1969. It is just a very cool and trippy Captain America comic. I think that it is one of, if not the best Cap comics I've ever read. I like the character, though I haven't read a lot of his comics, but the ones that I have read have all been very good. So, I just think that this is a great addition to the Captain America lore. Then at number 7, we have X-Men God Loves, Man Kills. This is an original graphic novel published in 1982. This is actually the second graphic novel that Marvel had ever published, the first being The Death of Captain Marvel. And X-Men God Loves, Man Kills is a beautiful, beautiful story with... It doesn't have a lot of action, but the action that it does have is cool and rendered well. And a lot of the elements from this graphic novel were translated into the second X-Men movie, X2 Mutants United, and the movie doesn't do this story justice, but the original story, it is a fundamental understanding of what the X-Men are, and it's a great introductory story if you're wanting to get your friend or loved one into the X-Men comic books. You say, you can borrow my copy of X-Men God Loves, Man Kills, and you will understand these characters on a fundamental level. And I just think that that's great, that you don't need all of the context of the history of the X-Men that came before this story, but if you have read it, then it adds so much more weight to it. Then at number 6, we have the Invincible Iron Man Armor Wars, which is a story arc that was published in the Invincible Iron Man Volume 1, number 225 to 232 in 1987. This is balls to the wall action, and I love it. It has a story, but the majority of the page real estate is action, and I really enjoy that. But the story is very well crafted, and it's the basis for a lot of what we know and love about Iron Man in the modern day. And it was beautifully adapted in the Iron Man animated series in the 90s during the second season. And there was going to be a Disney Plus TV show called Armor Wars, but it's canceled. That project was scrapped, which kind of sucks because I wanted to see where they would have taken it without Tony Stark, because it was going to focus on Don Cheadle as War Machine after the death of Iron Man. But the original comic book story is the cream of the crop, in my opinion, for Iron Man. Then at number 5, we have Daredevil Born Again, which was published in Daredevil Volume 1, number 227 to 233 in 1986. This is Frank Miller saying, who is Daredevil? On, every aspect of the man's life. Who is he physically? Who is he spiritually? Who is he mentally? Who is he without the Daredevil costume? And who is he with the Daredevil costume? Obviously, the third season of the Daredevil TV show was based on this, and the name is used as the subtitle for the revival of the TV show. I haven't seen that at the time of recording, but the first 3 seasons of the Daredevil show are peak television, in my opinion. But Daredevil Born Again is a beautiful, beautiful story about redemption and loss, and how love and sheer determination can help a man climb his way out of hell. And I love that. Then at number 4, we have Marvels, which is a 4-issue miniseries published in 1994. And, you know, with all of the 4s involved, I would have used Fantastic Four, but I do have a Fantastic Four story further up the list. But Marvels is a great retelling of the history of the Marvel Universe from the golden age of comics up until the present day at the time that it was published in the mid-90s. But it is absolutely gorgeous to look at. Alex Ross's art is spectacular, and this is, I believe, one of the first major stories that he did. And Kurt Busiek, who wrote it, is a Marvel fanboy who got the keys to the kingdom, and you can tell because he is having a field day retelling the origin stories of the Marvel heroes and showing these major events through the eyes of a normal man. And I think that that is just a great framing device. As an aspiring writer myself, I strive for even a fraction of the brilliance of Marvel's. And that is just a testament to how well written and well drawn it is, and just the themes and the overall cultural impact that this story had. Then at number 3, we have my favorite Hulk story, which is The Incredible Hulk Future Imperfect, which is a 2-part special published in 1992. This is one of the earliest Hulk stories I've ever read. I got a trade paperback that had these 2 different Hulk stories written by Peter David, Future Imperfect and Hulk the End. And Future Imperfect spoke to me on so many levels, and it's just difficult to express how much I love this story. So I won't even try. I mean, I did a video about it early on in my career as a YouTuber, but I didn't do it justice there, and I don't think I can do it justice here without, taking up too much of your time. And I want to finish off the rest of this list. But suffice it to say, Future Imperfect is the cream of the crop for Hulk, in my opinion. And George Perez's artwork is spectacular, especially that one double-page spread in, I believe, part 2. Then for the second, the penultimate story on this list, we have, at number 2, we have The Fantastic Four, The Peril and the Power, which was published in the Fantastic Four Volume 1, number 57 to 60, which was published in the last few months of 1966 and the beginning of 1967. Now, The Peril and the Power is, without a doubt, one of, if not the greatest comic books I've ever read. The 3-part story encapsulates why the Fantastic Four are so amazing, and it just goes to show why Doctor Doom is one of the greatest villains in all of fiction. And we see other heroes and villains as well, but it focuses on the FF and Doom, and I just love it so much. And I don't want to spoil any of the stories on here. I suggest you read them yourself to form your own opinion. I'm just saying that I love these stories so much. But yeah, The Peril and the Power, 10 out of 10. Amazing. Speaking of which, At number 1, we have The Amazing Spider-Man Kraven's Last Hunt, which was published in the 3 different Spider-Man titles that were running at the time. We have Web of Spider-Man issues 31 and 32, The Amazing Spider-Man 293 and 294, and Peter Parker the Spectacular Spider-Man 131 and 132. This was published in 1987. The poetry of this story is awe-inspiring, and the themes of love and hatred and depression and forlornness and existential dread just ooze, and the aura of this magnum opus is unfathomable. And this story encapsulates everything that makes Spider-Man a hero. It shows why he is Marvel's flagship character, why he is their golden goose, their the cow that they will milk dry until the end of time. Everything about this story is amazing and spectacular and web-oved and ultimate, etc., etc. But yeah, without getting into spoilers, Kraven's Last Hunt is so good. J.M. DeMatteis originally wanted this to be a Batman story, but DC didn't want to publish it because at the same time they were doing Batman the Killing Joke, and they said, we don't want to oversaturate Joker stories. But, after that, he was like, okay, well, Wonder Man? No. Spider-Man? Yeah. And he and Mike Zeck, who drew the story, wanted to make a new villain, but then they're like, ooh, this Kraven guy is pretty cool. And that's where the story really kicked off. And then they also use another villain who they had created for a Captain America story where Spider-Man and Captain America teamed up. So there's that bit of continuity, and I just think that it is awesome. But yeah, that is all I have for you today on this episode of the National Timely Action Hour podcast. Once again, my name is Aiden. Thank you so much for listening, and please stay tuned for the rest of Season 5. I have a lot of cool episodes planned, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.